This is one of these podcast episodes that will hopefully help you to think. And if you already think well, it's just a reminder or a kick in the ass that you're on the right path. So back in the day, my very first edition of Trend Following, the book, was published by Financial Times Prentice Hall. It's currently published by Wiley. I changed publishers a few years back. But back in the day when the first edition came out, the Financial Times newspaper out of London wrote a little blurb about the book. And the title was this: Stating the Obvious. Now, there's a good deal of British snarky attitude here. Fine enough. But let me read it. Investing books are meant to teach people how to get rich. And sometimes the obvious lessons are the best. Or at least that is what the public relations team promoting the new book, Trend Following, How Great Traders Make Millions in Up or Down Markets, seem to think. The message of the book, they say, is, drumroll please, that a, quote, trading strategy that calls for buying high and selling low, end quote, is the best strategy for consistently making money in the markets. No wonder Observer, and Observer was the title of this column, no wonder Observer is poor. We've been trying to buy low and sell high. So now, I don't expect any favors because my book was published by Financial Times, and that's the Financial Times newspaper criticizing me. I could care less. This is a long time ago. In fact, I am extremely lucky, extremely happy to have something like this. If a major financial newspaper criticizes an author who has written an investing book, makes fun of the author in such a way to reveal that the newspaper has no fucking clue what they're talking about, that is a win for me. If I got that kind of criticism every day from a newspaper, from a writer, etc., where they attempted to make fun of trend following because they think they know something more, oh my God. Give it to me every day if I could only get so much fantastic feedback like that. If you think about a big newspaper, there are smart people and there are stupid people. What's the ratio today of smart to stupid or just paid propagandists? I don't know exactly. But even back in the day, when this little clip was written, there were billion-dollar hedge funds in London trading trend-following methods. Well-known ones, like Winton Capital, like Aspect Capital, like Man. This wasn't exactly new. What's so interesting for me to reflect on this little article, this little criticism of my work, which again, I love, is that it's a window into how the media and how information works and how you can't trust a fucking soul. All you can do is trust and verify. I mean, if you read a snarky article in a newspaper that doesn't even include the name of the person that wrote the article, and it rips some book or rips some strategy, but you can easily disprove the criticism, don't you scratch your head a little bit? I mean, I don't scratch my head at all. I know exactly what newspapers are, and I've known that since age 19. Newspapers are propaganda. They're agendas. Agendas owned by wealthy people who have a point of view. They're not unbiased news. They do it for a reason. They do it to make money. They do it to help their advertisers make money. And that's it. If you or I somehow or another threaten the establishment, well, they're going to make fun of you. They're going to rip you. They're going to punch you. They're going to kick you. They're going to try to throw you overboard. But again, it's so wonderful when they do it with attitude, when they do it with arrogance in such a way that you can easily see they're wrong. To use a political example, the world just saw recently a debate between Biden and Trump. Now, whether you like Trump or whether you like Biden, people with a pulse realize that Biden is gone. Biden is an old man. He's not there. Now, don't try to compare Trump's age. Yeah, Trump's old too. That's not the point. Biden is close to Alzheimer's. You know it. I know it. Everyone knows it. It's common knowledge. But of course, people have to protect their interests. They have to keep up the sham. I mean, there's plenty of people that could be the nominee for the Democratic Party for American president. But right now, we have a senile nominee. Let me ask a question. Do you think he just got senile at the debate? No. He's been senile for a long time. What's the operative question? Who's running the country? Oh, shit. Who is running the country? It's not that guy. Now, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. My point is trusting anything. Anything in the media. You trust, but you verify. That's it. So I posted that article, that little brief criticism of my work on X, formerly Twitter. And I got a particular piece of feedback from an individual. He said, Jim Simons said markets don't trend like they used to. Do any of your products offer specific steps to building a trend following system that is for modern markets? Modern markets. What the fuck is a modern market? Do you know? I have no idea. Now, this person could be infinitely intelligent. I have no idea. But I also have no idea what a modern market is. If I go to Mr. Google or Mr. ChatGPT and type in modern market, what the hell am I going to get? It's right back to the Financial Times piece about my book. I'm going to get some gobbledygook bullshit that doesn't mean anything. I replied to this individual, people are people, markets are markets, trend following is trend following. Where is the change evidence? When I ask about the change evidence, what I'm really asking about is something that disproves trend following. Like, where is it? Yeah, Jim Simons was a super successful investor who often used trend following methods, very secretive, but for sure used trend following, made billions of dollars. No one knows exactly what he did. He's passed on now. But if you read the book about him, it talks about his early influences being trend following. So telling me that a successful investor said markets don't trend like they used to, what do I do with that? He's not alive. I don't know what time frame he's talking about. I don't know what markets he's talking about. I don't know anything. But what I do know is that trend following works. And the proof for trend following is overwhelming. I'm not talking about proof from 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 25 years ago. I'm talking about proof right now. You can go look at the disclosure documents, the performance tables of professional trend following traders, and you can observe their performance. So it's fantastic that perhaps, and I have no idea because I don't know the context here, to share with me that Jim Simons said something about markets not trending. I don't know what that means. But I know that the evidence for trend following exists. Now, this individual responded to me, have to ask Jim. Unfortunately, he passed away. Great man and a legend. Okay, yes, I agree. But this isn't how you trust and verify. Like, I can trust that perhaps Jim Simons made the general statement like this individual is saying. Well, that's great. What am I going to do? I'm going to ignore the performance of trend following traders right now because a man who is no longer alive that I can't follow up to ask a question to may or may not have said these few words that are negative about trends? Back to the Financial Times article about my book. It's the same thing, you see? Some little bit of information. Don't do that. Don't read that. This doesn't work. What the hell kind of scientific method is that? What kind of investigation of the truth is that? You see, the way that it worked for Trump and Biden, the vast majority of people that tuned in expected to hear a debate. They expected to hear their guy defend their issues. But that all went out the window in the first 90 seconds when everyone realized that Joe Biden was their senile grandfather. That was the unexpected. That was ripping the Band-Aid off. That was seeing Oz behind the curtain. That was the fuck you moment, proletariat peasants. Again, it's awesome that people can read a book like my trend following book and say, this book is terrible. Fantastic. But if they say a book or a strategy is bad or doesn't work, well, then you got to do battle with me because I'm bringing evidence to the table. I'm bringing rules to the table. I'm bringing performance histories to the table. I'm bringing legendary wisdom to the table that all ties together. Strategies that often make a ton of money when buy and hold blows up. Strategies that often make a ton of money when random markets decide to go straight to the moon. There's no longer a debate as to whether or not trend following works. The only people debating whether or not trend following works are literally people that are lost in particular social media silos, who are reading information that's incomplete, who are not challenging themselves with the full information, who really don't care to find the truth. Now, of course, if I want to reach those people, it's my responsibility to hit them in the head with a shovel and force down their throat the wisdom. Actually, that's not the best way to teach. But in this world, let's be honest. If people are not curious, if they're not skeptical, if they're not willing to dig and do the work, they're not going to get to that point anyway. What's the point? The point of finding the truth. Again, that was what was so cool about the debate. None of us expected the truth that would come out of the debate. The truth being that one of the men was senile. I've said it on this podcast many times. If you want to find the truth of trend following, read the performance. Just get the tables, the month-by-month performance tables, and analyze them. You say something doesn't work anymore, analyze the tables. Look at the numbers. You heard something on the internet, somebody gave you a stock tip, somebody gave you an insight. If you just trust it, what's wrong with you? Who wants to go through life that way? Life is fun when you're faced with a problem, and life is even more fun when you solve the problem. And then when you solve the problem, typically there might be a problem completely unrelated on some other issue that you get to solve. But the idea is to solve it. The idea is not to just trust talking heads or gurus or random tweets from people you've never freaking heard of. It's quite amazing these days. I see it on X. People I've never heard of who supposedly have these huge followings, no books, and they just have all these views on particular pieces of insight. Now, how the hell do I know if it's even real? How do I know if their following is real? It can be pieced together that I've sold over 1 million books about the subject of trend following. Now, that's across all of my books. I suspect Turtle Trader has sold the most, but trend following has sold a hell of a lot too. But there's a certain amount of gravitas there, a certain amount of evidence. I'm not anonymous. You've heard me on this podcast talking to everyone under the sun for over a decade. So if you want to verify me, it's sort of easy. If you want to verify the anonymous voice, kind of hard. So what do? Me? I don't trust anonymous voices saying novel things. Kind of silly, isn't it? You only have one life. You've got to make good decisions right now. Good decisions compounded equal a better life. If you fuck around and trust anonymous voices, what are you left with? Not a good situation. I'm extremely fortunate that so many people, so many competent achievers have come on this podcast and attached their names and said, here I am, either with a performance table backing their words or deeply researched books backing their words. That's life. I'm not so sure everyone does that, though. And maybe that's the takeaway from listening to me today. You need a process for digging through the shit. Because if you don't have a process for digging through the shit, guess what? You're going to be covered in shit. So as you plow forward into July 2024, as you wrap your arms around the idea of either becoming a trend-following trader or simply listening to me for reinforcement that you've made the right call, get ready. Because it's coming. What's coming? I don't know exactly. I can't tell you. I can't make a prediction. But historically, when you see markets stretched as they are, things happen. Things move. Trends unfold. Often with a certain ferocity. The question I have for you, are you ready? Do you have your rules in place? Or, back to the Financial Times article, are you just trusting the buy and hold? Are you really sitting there in the summer of 2024 only trusting buy and hold? And if you are, and if you trust that, have you bothered to verify it? See you again next week. And as always, if you have any questions for me, any thoughts, I'm easy to reach. Michael@Covel.com. Talk to you soon.
I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, Michael@Covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.